Good morning. I'm so glad to be with you again, even though it's through video again. I'm available by Zoom too, if you'd like, for Sunday school at 9:30, and I'll be on Zoom for session tomorrow and for the pastor's study on Tuesday night. I have to cancel the daytime pastor's study this month since it conflicts with my daily PT session here in the hospital. We're reading Rachel Held Evans's book, Searching for Sunday, and we'll spend 2 months exploring topics from that book. So I'd love to see you on Tuesday night. If you would like to attend by Zoom, just send me an email and I'll make sure that I get you included. But the rest of you, join in the parlor as usual at 7 o'clock. And I thank you again for all of your calls and texts and cards. My collection is growing. I can show you. Look at all those cards. Thank you so much for sending them. I'll be here at ECMC at least until October 26th, or this coming Thursday, and I may need a week or two of further PT before I can return home. I'm still not able to walk unassisted, but I look forward to the time when that ability returns. And feel free to come and visit if you like. Now, our gospel reading for today is taken from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 15 to 22. Then the Pharisees went and plotted to entrap him in what he said. So they sent their disciples to him, along with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere and teach the way of God in accordance with truth, and show deference to no one, for you do not regard people with partiality. Tell us then, what do you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not?" But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, "Why are you putting me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the tax." And they brought him a denarius. Then he said to them, "Whose head is this, and whose title?" They answered, "The emperor's." Then he said to them, "Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." When they heard this, they were amazed, and they left him and went away. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Well, have you ever looked at someone's face and said, "I know you from somewhere"? We humans are designed to capture and recognize the faces of those people we know. We do often tend to forget names, but rarely do we forget faces. Today's sermon title is Images of God. What does God look like? What did Jesus look like? What does the Holy Spirit look like? What does the Trinity look like? In our gospel reading, Jesus frustrates the Jewish leaders who are trying to entrap him with a question that has serious legal consequences. Of course, the people of Jerusalem are under Roman rule, and paying taxes to Rome was a bitter pill to swallow. They would still, of course, be making their tithes and offerings to God at the temple. But Rome also wanted a chunk of their money to pay for the very military and political systems that held them captive in their own homeland. Would you have protested those taxes? Many in the Jewish community did protest, and they were anticipating the arrival of a Messiah who would overthrow this or any other invader seeking to hold the Jews captive. Militant Messiah seekers often got into trouble with the Roman authorities by acts of protest against Roman rule. And here is Jesus. The Pharisees want to know his stance on the political view of taxes. Will Jesus align with their view that Roman taxes are contrary to God's law? Would he put himself in political jeopardy by making a statement about not paying taxes, one that might get him jailed at the very least? And as usual, Jesus evades the Pharisees' trap, asking for a Roman coin. But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, "Why are you putting me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the tax." And they brought him a denarius. Then he said to them, "Whose head is this, and whose title?" They answered, "The emperor's." Then he said to them, "Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." That coin carried a recognizable image of the Roman emperor. It was clear to anyone with vision that these coins were a part of the Roman occupation and expansion project. But what about God? What does God look like? Artists have attempted to paint God's image. One of the most famous images of God is found in Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel fresco, The Creation of Adam. God is just a little larger than the human image of Adam, but generally looks a lot like an elderly gentleman you might find in your own family. This image of God is fair-skinned and wearing a white linen robe. He has a face, hair, beard, arms and legs, fingers and toes. What do you think? Does this capture all of the images of God you've encountered in Scripture? I'd say not by a long shot. Here's another one. God is perched there in the clouds, wearing a green robe and a red tunic this time, looking down. He still looks Caucasian, but this time the skin's just a bit darker. And what about Jesus? Jesus was born as a human infant, so Jesus definitely had human features, feelings, and experiences. Warner E. Salmon's famous painting, Head of Christ, is one I think that everybody has seen. We probably have one here, portraying Jesus again as Caucasian with striking features, with light to medium skin tones. He looks a lot like one of us, doesn't he? In our Old Testament lesson today, Moses wants to see God's face. He wants to know who he's talking with. And so far, he's only seen a burning bush, a pillar of light, a pillar of cloud. Moses said to God, "You have said, I know you by name, and you have also found favor in my sight. Now, if I have found favor in your sight, show me your ways so that I may know you and find favor in your sight." God knows Moses by name and by sight. Psalm 139 opens with the psalmist proclaiming, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away." God knows us all by name and by sight. But do we know God by name and by sight? Again, I wonder, what does God look like? So let's try this together. Look to your left. Look to your right. Look behind you if you can. Catch the glimpse of another person's face right here. We are each created in the image of God. So each face you look into carries some feature of God's image. Every time you look into someone's face, you are seeing an image of God. But God is still far more than just what we see in one another's face. God's face is too powerful to be seen. God hides Moses in the cleft in the rock and covers Moses with his hand so that Moses is only offered a glimpse of his back and a sort of sense of the fullness of his presence. And even that little exposure to God's fullness leaves Moses with a glowing face for quite some time afterwards. So I come around again to the question we started with. How can we know God? How can we imagine God's face? Marie-Helene Delval has written a beautiful children's book titled Images of God for Young Children. In it, the illustrations by Barbara Nasimbeni capture 40 colorful images that show the wideness of God's image found in Scripture. God is joy. God is the root. God is light. Here's joy. Here's the root. God is the root of everything. And here's God is light. You know, Psalm 46 exhorts us to be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. And whether you prefer to get close to God through meditation, prayer, artwork, music, walks in nature, spiritual practices are the way to know God better, to meet God and discover your own images for God. As we consider the different ways that we bear fruit for God through our Sunday school and faith formation activities this season, I encourage you all to explore those spiritual practices that can deepen our faith, strengthen our connection with God, and polish that image of God that we carry with us wherever we go. Consider adding a new practice this fall, whether it's daily devotions or praying in color, or even just looking for glimpses of God in the people and the world around you. Jesus said to the Pharisees, "Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." What might we give, and how can we grow our gifts? We know God is love, so give love. God is patient, so give patience. God is presence, always with us, and so share your presence with others who need it. Our psalm today, Psalm 99, describes our God in words like this: "The Lord is king. He sits enthroned upon the cherubim. The Lord is great in Zion. He is exalted over all the peoples." Moses and Aaron were among his priests. Samuel also was among those who called on his name. They cried to the Lord, and he answered them. He spoke to them in the pillar of cloud. God is a forgiving God, and the Lord our God is holy. So I say to you, that God, that mighty, powerful, loving, and forgiving God, the God who is holy and exalted over all people, that God has entrusted you with his image. Wear it well. Amen.